Hello, welcome. So today we're going to be looking at r/relationships where OP's husband tries to make them get rid of their hobby and get rid of all of their friends. I already know what I think of this one without even reading the post yet. But if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. So, the title of this one reads My husband, 33M, just asked me to quit my hobby and say goodbye to my hobby friends. I really don't want to say yes to that. What should I do? A bit of background story. My husband, 33M, and I, 31F, have been together for almost 8 years, married for 5. The majority of my adulthood. I have been a bit of a malfunctioning adult in society. I have not worked full time since 2015, have not worked at all since 2019 due to my severe depression. I've tried various therapies and meds, so far pretty treatment resistant. Because of these things, my self esteem has grown lower and lower to the point where I kind of only talk to my husband and have no other friends or family. Now that I put it into words, it sounds so crazy, but true. My husband has been the only source of support, love, and friendship for the past 2 years or so. I should also mention that my husband is a very private person as well. He's a big homeboy and doesn't really hang out with friends in real life either. Okay, opinions. Put them in the comments now. I would love to know what you think is going on here because I have an opinion and I know that it's not really that we have an awful lot of information yet, but I have a feeling that OP's husband has been purposefully isolating them because it says, I kind of only talk to my husband. I have no other friends or family. They've spoke about having really bad low self-esteem and whatnot. And that is so easy for a partner to take advantage of and isolate you. And it sounds like this OP is blaming themselves an awful lot. Usually that kind of rhetoric has been fed into you somewhere. I have a feeling that it's going to be the husband that is the antagonist in this. But let's see what you guys think before, pause now, put your comment before we even go and read ahead, because I would love to know what you think just from that initial first paragraph. My husband, on the other hand, is a very intelligent person who makes a comfortable amount of money for the two of us, and we get to take seasonal vacations all over the place. I've been, of course, very grateful for all the hard work my husband has done. As far as my day goes, I do chores around the house and try to take care of everything at home, but some days I just crash and lay in bed all day. My husband has tried to motivate and help me as much as possible to the point where I felt like he'd be better off without me. And I'm holding him up for all the dreams he had of building a family and buying a home, etc. Depression, it sucks. It really does. And it drains the life out of you. It's so hard to function as a normal human being when you are in bad episodes of depression. And unfortunately, these episodes can last 4 years. And treatment resistant depression is actually a real thing. And it's quite scary, really, considering we know what depression can lead to ultimately. For the past couple of years, my husband's approach of helping me has become gradually more authoritarian. Almost like an authoritarian parenting style. I know what I think about that already. Before you judge me, yes, I know it's not the healthiest, but I've been so deep in my sad and numb head that I didn't have the energy to even discuss alternatives. What I mean by him being authoritarian with me is, for example, he has created a card system where I need to write down what I'm going to do the next day. Pretty basic household stuff, such as cooking 3 meals for an hour and 45 minutes, doing laundry for 1 hour, dishes for zero point 0.5 hours, running 5k for zero point 0.5 hours, etc. He'll review and approve my agenda for the next day with a minimum of 6 hours of stuff to do. See, now, I actually think that if you've got a partner that really struggles with organizing themselves, motivating themselves, or just, getting themselves up and going and deciding what to do with the day, say for me, I really suffer with executive dysfunction issues. So I have to give myself prompts for the next day. I will decide what I'm doing for the day before. Otherwise, I would get no work done. I would get no housework done. I would not have a clue what to feed the kids when they get home from school. So I always plan my day at least a day in advance. Quite often, I'll plan my week in advance on the Sunday, because otherwise I get into paralysis and I won't get things done. So I do think if you've got a partner and they're going to say, right, we're making cards and we'll pick a few a day and we do these. However, making it so strict that there has to be a minimum of 6 hours stuff done a day, I think is ridiculous because some days are going to be harder than others. It's one of those things when you've got a chronic mental health condition or a chronic health condition, some days are going to be a write-off and you will get takeaway and nothing will get done. And that's okay. If you try and push it to you are doing a minimum of this, and this every single day, somebody with issues like that is just going to end up in burnout and then nothing is going to get done, you know? You've got to allow some flexibility within that for you to just have bad days. Everyone has bad days, even somebody who is perfectly healthy and perfectly mentally healthy, should that sort of thing exist. I don't think perfectly mentally healthy exists in this day and age, to be honest. Anyway, back to the post. If I can't complete the things I said I'd do, he'll punish me for it in a very parenting way, such as taking away my phone, iPad, game console, locking up my pet bunny. What? So the poor rabbit has to suffer just because you've had a bad day? Do not have kids with this guy. If this is what he's doing to a fully grown adult, could you imagine what it'd be like with kids? That he has absolute authority over. Because obviously he will be well aware of the fact that he doesn't really have complete and absolute authority over you. If you decided to stand up for yourself and go, do you know what? Get chuffed. What can he do? Not a lot, because you're an adult. I'm getting bad vibes off this guy. I really am. I'm getting very bad. I mean, locking up the poor rabbit. Sorry, I'm knocking the desk all over the place with my big gangly legs. Yeah, locking up the poor rabbit for the day. Like, they need to be out and about, enjoying themselves. I've got a rabbit. I have a pet rabbit, and she gets locked in at nighttime. But other than that, she has absolute free range of the back garden because it's all enclosed. She can't get out. So I have a brick shed in the back garden, which I don't use for anything because for some reason I have 2 sheds and I don't know why. They were here already. I think one must have originally been a coal shed for when we had a fireplace. And I let her out in the mornings, first thing in the morning before all the kids are getting up. I let her out. She hops around them for the rest of the day and I put her in when it starts getting dark. And she is very happy with that because she could just do her own thing and hop around, and for some reason, she has this love affair with one of the neighborhood cats, which is fine by me because the cat is so friendly. It's absolutely fine. She did used to live inside, to be fair. She was in the house, but she hated being in the house. She just always was trying to bite the back door to get out. She loves being in the garden. So now she's outside with her little brick shed house. And again, back to the post. I am on tangents today. I do apologize. This will be one to listen to while you're cleaning or something, just while I ramble. So, making me run extra miles, etc. I would naturally resist and object to these commands at first, but over time I've learnt that the more I argue with him, the harsher his punishments would be. It's pretty non-negotiable with him. Oh, don't like him, do not like him. Okay, editing me just hopping on here to say I absolutely do understand and sympathise with partners of people who have severe depression. It can get very frustrating, obviously, when things aren't getting done, when he's the only one going out to work and she's at home all day, but she is doing her best. She is putting an effort in. The thing that I cannot condone or agree with is this weird punishment way of trying to get her out of the depression, because all it's doing, quite clearly from the rhetoric we've heard off of the OP and the way they talk about themselves, is making them see themselves in the most negative light. Again, absolutely sympathize with anyone who has a partner who has depression, who feels like they're the only one running the ship and they're the only one doing anything. But it comes to a point when the OP's husband is doing stuff like that it's it seems like he's just enjoying treading her down further, with these weird punishments, treating her like a child so she doesn't feel self-sufficient, I might be wrong, but his reasoning is that he's trying to help me, and if I can't do things I'd promised I'd do, then that means I chose not to do those things and thus chose the consequences. I don't agree with it, but like I said, I haven't really had the energy or will to debate with him when my head was in a bad place. Yeah, and he's taking advantage of that, my love. I should also mention that English is my second language, and he's a native speaker, and he's a near genius. I'm just generally smart. So there's no way I could win arguments with him. This guy has beaten OP right down into the dirt, hasn't he? He's got her thinking that her self-worth is absolutely nothing and that he is God. And I can guarantee you he is not as smart as she's had him believe he is. I will bet you any money. Men that do stuff like this, and women, of course, it's not exclusive to men to be like this, that manipulate and keep people in a tight little box, are the most insecure weirdos I have ever met. And usually they're insecure because they are lacking in a lot of areas. Yes, I don't disagree that I haven't intellectually or socially grown much over the past 5 years at all. On a daily basis, I do consume a lot of social media and entertainment as a way of escaping my reality and coping with my pain. But my husband's theory has always been, just do it. Just push through it. It doesn't matter if you're tired, you get things done anyways. Everyone who has ever suffered from a mental health condition is just groaning all together in a little symphony right now, I can just imagine. My husband complains about me consuming garbage and asks me to only listen, read, watch somewhat educational things. I'm sorry, I can't. I just can't. Apologies for the long paragraphs. I think I've painted an overall picture of my marriage. Fast forward to this summer, I discovered an interest in watching table tennis games. I've watched a bunch of matches and learned a lot about the players and stuff. About a month ago, I met some fellow table tennis fans on a very friendly online platform in Chinese, and quickly made some very good friends. There's one table tennis player I like a lot, so I kind of started a fan page on the social media platform. I've been talking to fellow fans daily. I've edited photos and videos for my posts for fun. This has been my painkiller for the last month. I've actually been extremely happy that I've met some of the girls there. There's one in particular which I've had lots of deep talks with about life, marriage, politics, etc. I've been a bit of a social magnet there. I'm funny, creative, and very fun to talk to in that online world in my native language. That means that is who you are as a person. You are that as a person, and they're letting you be that, whereas your husband's not letting you be you. There's a reason that you're different with these people. And it's not because they're making you that way, it's because you are that way. And your husband's just basically beat it out of you mentally. But of course, all those things I've been doing behind my husband's back. Why? Because he thinks watching sports is not helpful, and being a fangirl is a bit stalking-ish. So I've just told him that I've made some ping pong friends online and no more than that. He just likes to suck the fun out of everything, doesn't he? Call this man Tampax. He is sucking the life out of you. Needless to say, I've spent a lot of my time on my ping pong friends and this fan page. He thinks I'm too addicted to it and I should quit it cold turkey. He asked me to do it earlier today and was surprised that I didn't want to say yes right away. Here's why I don't want to say yes to that. 1. This good friend I made online was the first close friend I've made in the last 8 years. Most of my friends are Chinese, like me. My American husband doesn't like that. He dislikes the fact that I consume a lot of Chinese stuff instead of English because we live in America. Well, don't marry someone who's from a different country then, you absolute poo tube. I really don't want to let go of this awesome person who's become a friend of mine, because again, I don't talk to anyone besides my husband in real life. And by the way, when I say that, I mean that towards the husband and not towards the woman. The woman's not the one who's made the issue here. The man is like basically married a woman from China and then said, I don't want you to talk to Chinese people or do anything Chinese. Like, what? Get out of here. So far out of here. You absolute dingleberry. I really don't want to let go of this awesome person who's become a good friend of mine because, again, I don't want to talk to anyone besides my husband in real life. 2, I actually have this sociable and likable person online. It's the first time I've felt like the old self in over a decade. It might be pitiful, but I actually have a good sense of self-esteem in that safe and friendly, pretty much all-female online community. It's the happiest I've been for however long. I really don't want to say goodbye to this, and you should not have to either. It feels to me that every time I discover something that makes me happy, my husband would take it away from me as a punishment of not getting the things done which I said I would. I know I'm pretty spoiled. I have never fully financially supported myself before, but I don't know, this just doesn't feel right. My husband has complained about me not growing intellectually or cognitively, about me regressing, me being childish, spoiled, about me making excuses for things, etc. They're probably all true. They're not. They are not. Please be bluntly honest with me here. I just turned 31. I have nothing to show for it. I've pretty much cut off contact with my family, who deserve a much better daughter than me. I have no savings or money. I'm trying to build my life from where I am. I'm so lost in life, but I look around, I only have him. So I think I need a second opinion on things. Thanks for reading all of my rambling. TLDR, my husband and I have been very unusually codependent because of my depression. I usually say yes to everything he tells me to do, but this time I really don't want to. What should I do? Okay, so before I even look at the comments, I'm going to say that OP is not the person in the wrong here. OP should not listen to what their husband is telling them to do. OP is being manipulated, emotionally manipulated, and just beaten down emotionally by her husband. He's basically cutting her off from outward life. He doesn't want her to have any connection to her roots, which is extremely problematic. He's trying to cut her off and isolate her. And do you know what we call that? We call that mental DV where I'm from, because obviously I can't say the full word because YouTube won't like it, but I think everyone knows what that means. Because he's basically cut you off from everything and everyone, and he's treating you like a blemmin' child. Tell him to pee off, leave him. I know it's not that easy, but I would leave him and I would never look at him again. I have a feeling you wouldn't feel so bad as you do if you weren't with this absolute human wart. So then, down in the comments, Cryptid Chaser says, are you currently actively treated for your depression? That's the root of the problems here. I don't know if your husband is making your mental state worse, but I have a strong suspicion that your dynamic is. But no, don't let your husband isolate you from the only social outlet you have left. Isolation will make you feel even worse. I think this commenter has really missed how actually insidious this is, what the husband's doing. The undertones are there. Obviously, we're only getting it from the perspective of somebody who has been made to believe that they are completely useless and worthless, which is not true. And who has made them feel like that? The husband. So I think this commenter really has missed how worrying this actually is, because otherwise I don't think they'd be blaming the depression. I think the depression is a symptom and not a cause. OP then replies, thank you for your reply. I really appreciate it. Yes, I'm actively seeking new treatments. I just discovered that I had a snoringless sleep apnea, which most definitely worsened my depression every day. I actually finally feel not so physically exhausted all the time for the first time last week, which is why I have some mental energy to maybe think outside of my usual box and ask for advice here instead of just saying yes to whatever my husband asks me to do. My husband took away my backup cell phone a month ago. What? See what I mean? This is abuse. This is abuse. He's trying to isolate you from everyone and everything. Like, open your eyes. Come on, OP, please open your eyes, because this will get worse. It will gradually get worse. My husband took away my backup cell phone a month ago maybe, which I used to communicate with my parents. Ever since I finally got some physical energy back, I've wanted to call my parents. The last time I talked to them was this summer, when I asked for my phone to call my parents, but my husband said he'd give me my phone back after all of my cards are turned in. I can't say what I would do to that husband, because it is not PG and it is rather violent. Which would probably be maybe a month and a half later. This part doesn't sit right with me. He never talks to my parents, even when I pleaded him. I wanted to visit my parents on the other side of the world since we got married. He's always said maybe after I get a job and work for a certain amount of time. I'm actually very isolated from my parents. Thank you. Your response confirms how I felt about the only social connect I have besides my husband. Yeah, he's definitely manipulating and isolating the OP, and they have had no idea it's even happened. He's done it so slowly and slyly that he's made them believe that they're the problem. This is actually disgusting and so actually scary. It's unreal. I really hope that OP gets out of this relationship. I tried to look for an update. I couldn't find one. But this is, honest to goodness, classed as DV. Someone who isolates you from your family, tells you what you do with your day, punishes you mentally. DV doesn't have to be physical. Both mental and physical DV are just as serious because they all lead down an extremely dark path the further you go with it. And like I said, I just don't even think OP realizes that that is what has been happening this whole time. Like, it's actually very scary when you read between the lines, and it's not hard to read between the lines either. Like, the stuff that he's doing is so controlling and manipulative and just disgusting. jumping in again just to say, now I know that sounds like very dramatic, very like, oh, the typical leave him that Reddit likes to do when everyone jumps on board and, says, oh, leave them, they're terrible. But genuinely, if my kid came to me and said that their partner was doing these things to them, I would be telling them to leave. If a friend came and told me their partner's doing these things to them, I'd be telling them to leave, because things like that do turn more dark very quickly, or even not so quickly, very slowly but surely. And we only know one side of the story, of course. We don't know everything. However, the fact that the OP's husband is doing these things, like keeping them from their family, their parents, it is isolation. And that genuinely, if you look it up anywhere, if you look it up on the websites that sort of help with domestic V, they will tell you that that's one of the big red flags for emotional abuse. And it is. So yeah, I think if anyone's experiencing something like that, it's definitely a good idea to reach out to somebody and talk about it, because it can turn into physical at some point. I mean, that's just the fact that he feels the need to punish like she's a child is really concerning. All in all, I really hope that OP is able to get out of this relationship, because someone who disconnects you from your family and friends is not somebody who is worth being with. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I mean, enjoyed would be a really weird wording to say, but I hope you found this interesting, would probably be a better way to put it, wouldn't it? If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you very, very much. If you'd like to give a like and subscribe so you can find your way back here, I post every single day. Other than that, I am going to get off. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.